Nicolai Abildgaard, September 11, 1743, June 4, 1809, was a Danish neoclassical and royal history painter, sculptor, architect, and professor of painting, mythology, and anatomy at the New Royal Danish Academy of Art in Copenhagen, Denmark. Many of his works were in the Royal Christiansborg Palace, some destroyed by fire 1794, Fredensborg Palace, and Levedså Palace at Amalienborg. Abildgaard had studied at the Academy from 1764 to 1767, then worked there as apprentice, and moved to Rome in 1772 to 1777, where he studied sculpture, architecture, decoration, frescoes, at Palazzo Farnese, and murals. He returned to the Academy in Copenhagen, promoted to professor in 1778, and elected as Academy Director during 1789 to 1791 and 1801 to 1809. He was also assigned as a royal artist, decorator during 1780 to 1805. Abildgaard was married twice, in 1781 and 1803. Life: Nicolai Abildgaard was born on September 11, 1743 in Copenhagen, Denmark, as the son of Søren Abildgaard, an antiquarian draftsman of repute, and Anne Margrethe Bastom. Training as an artist, he was trained by a painting master before he joined the new Royal Danish Academy of Art, Det Kongelige Dansk Kunstakademi, in Copenhagen, where he studied under the guidance of Johan Edvard Mandelberg and Johannes Wiedelt. He won a series of medallions at the Academy for his brilliance from 1764 to 1767. The large gold medallion from the Academy won in 1767 included a travel stipend, which he waited 5 years to receive. He assisted Professor Mandelberg of the Academy as an apprentice around 1769 and for painting decorations for the royal palace at Fredensborg. These paintings are classical, influenced by French classical artists such as Claude Lorrain and Nicolas Poussin. Mandelberg had studied in Paris under François Boucher. Student travels: although artists of that time used to travel to Paris for further studies, but he chose to travel to Rome where he stayed from 1772 to 1777. He took a side trip to Naples in 1776 with Jens Juel. His ambitions focused in the genre of history painting. While in Rome, he studied Annibale Carragher's frescoes at the Palazzo Farnese and the paintings of Raphael, Titian, and Michelangelo. In addition, he studied various other artistic disciplines: sculpture, architecture, decoration, wall paintings, and developed his knowledge of mythology, antiquities, anatomy, and perspective. In the company of Swedish sculptor Johann Tobias Sergel and painter Johann Heinrich Fuseli, he began to move away from the classicism he had learned at the Academy. He developed an appreciation for the literature of Shakespeare, Homer, and Ossian, the legendary Gaelic poet. He worked with themes from Greek as well as Norse mythology, which placed him at the forefront of Nordic Romanticism. He left Rome in June 1777 with the hope of becoming professor at the Academy in Copenhagen. He stopped for a stay in Paris and arrived in Denmark in December of the same year. An academic and artistic career: very soon after joining the Academy he was honored with the designation of professor in 1778. He worked as an academic painter of the neoclassical school. From 1777 to 1794, he was very productive as an artist in addition to his role at the school. He taught painting, mythology, and anatomy at the school. He produced not only monumental works, but also smaller pieces such as vignettes and illustrations. He designed Old Norse costumes. He illustrated the works of Socrates and Ossian. Additionally, he did some sculpting, etching, and authoring. He was interested in all manners of mythological, biblical, and literary allusion. He taught some famous painters, including Asmus Jacob Carstens, sculptor Bertel Thorvaldsen, and painters J. L. Lund and Christopher Wilhelm Eckersberg. Later both of them took over his position as professor at the Academy after his death. Eckersberg, referred to as the father of Danish painting, went on to lay the foundation for the period of art known as the Golden Age of Danish painting, as professor at the same academy. Around 1780, as a royal historical painter, Abildgaard was requested by the Danish government to paint large monumental pieces, a history of Denmark, to decorate the entirety of the Knight's Room, Riddersal, at Christiansborg Palace. It was a prestigious and lucrative assignment. The paintings combine not only historical depictions, but also allegorical and mythological elements that glorified and flattered the government. The door pieces depicted, in allegory, 4 historical periods in Europe's history. Abildgaard used pictorial allegory like ideograms, to communicate ideas and transmit messages through symbols to a refined public who was initiated into this form of symbology. Abildgaard's professor Johann Edvard Mandelberg supplied the decorations to the room. Abildgaard married Anna Maria Oxholm on March 23, 1781. He made a failed attempt to be elected to the post of Academy Director in 1787 and was unanimously elected to the post 2 years later, serving as director during the period 1789 to 1791. He had the reputation for being a tyrant and for taking as many of the Academy's monumental assignments as possible for himself. Abildgaard was also known as a religious freethinker and an advocate of political reform. In spite of his service to, and in his artwork the glorification of, the government, he was hardly a great supporter of the monarchy or of the state church. He supported the emancipation of the farmers and participated in the collection of monies for the Freedom Monument, Friedrichstaten, in 1792. He contributed a design for the monument, as well as for 2 of the reliefs at its base. He got caught into controversies at the end of the 18th century because of his controversial statements and satirical drawings. He was inspired by the French Revolution, and in 1789 to 1790 he tried to incorporate these revolutionary ideals into the Knight's Room at Christiansborg Palace. However, the king rejected his designs. His showdowns with the establishment culminated in 1794, when his allegorical painting Jupiter Weighs the Fate of Mankind, Jupiter Veterminsknes Skebn, was exhibited at the Salon. He was politically isolated and cut out of the public debate by censors. The fire at Christiansborg Palace, in February 1794, also had a dampening effect on his career, for 7 of the 10 monumental paintings of the grandiose project were destroyed in that accident. The project was stopped and so were his earnings. However, after that devastating fire accident, he started getting decorative assignments and also got the opportunity to practice as an architect. He decorated the Levedsal Palace, now known as Christian VIII's Palace, at Amalienborg, 1794 to 1798, recently occupied home of King Christian VII of Denmark's half-brother Frederick. His protégé Bertel Thorvaldsen headed the sculptural efforts. He also planned for rebuilding the Christiansborg Palace, but he could not get the assignment. At the start of the 19th century, his interest in painting was restored when he painted 4 scenes from Terence's comedy Andrea. This coincided with his second marriage in 1803 to Juliane Marie Ottesen, which was a very happy situation for the aging Abildgaard. He had 2 sons and a daughter from the marriage. He bought a lovely little place in the country for the family, Spurveskjel, Sparrow Hideaway. In 1804 he received a commission for a series of painting for the throne room in the new palace, but disagreements between the artist and the crown prince put a halt to this project. He continued, however, to provide the court with designs for furniture and room decorations. He was once again selected to serve as the Academy's director from 1801 until his death in 1809, at Frederiksdal. Nicolai Abildgaard is buried in Copenhagen's Assistens Cemetery.